Where was I? We're national champions.
Yeah, where were we? We're national champions.
Welcome to My God Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I review Georgia's 33-18 victory over Alabama for the national championship. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God Podcast. Finally, if you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, 5 stars obviously, and review the show. If you leave us a review, you just might hear it on an upcoming episode. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, what's in your bottle, John?
I've got Crown Royal Winter Wheat. It is a special Crown Royal. That's the Noble Collection. I got it while I was in Charlotte, actually, with Carter playing soccer right before I ran into you.
Which was a treat. A treat getting to watch Carter's team play. That was awesome.
Yeah, almost a bit of a send off for you because you were heading to Indy the next day.
For sure.
But yeah, it's a wonderful Canadian whiskey. Big Crown Royal. If you like Crown Royal, shout out to Bubby Dean. Bubby, you're gonna have to get a bottle of this because it tastes like Canadian Christmas. It's actually really good. Super mellow, super chill. It's not bourbon, obviously, but it is fantastic whiskey.
Nice. Well, I've got I'm drinking Buffalo Trace, but it's a special bottle of Buffalo Trace. So
what's special about it, Jim?
So this is the bottle that my dad he brought this with him, hoping that it would be a celebratory bottle to drink after the game, and it was, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is what we drank back in the room until like 3 a.m. As we were watching SportsCenter on repeat, basically.
That's awesome.
Celebrating the win. We didn't have any glasses with us, and there was this like plasticware in our hotel room. It was kind of weird, and so we drank them out of our national championship cups that we had brought home from the game. So yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that I'm going to drink from this bottle tonight while we're recording this national championship review. I'm not sure I'll ever drink from this bottle again, so I may just kind of mark it and set it aside.
Shelve it as a constant reminder.
Yeah, because I've got a couple of things that I think I can put with it, like the cup, one of those cups. They handed out shakers. There's a red shakers on all the seats. So I've got my shaker. I've got some confetti that I got that fell down from the rafters. Maybe have a little spot in my office or in our kind of bonus room area. Put all this stuff there. So keep this as part of that. Most likely, I would think so.
That's awesome. Yeah, speaking of the confetti, I know that's like a thing that I've been seeing on social media, which is actually like an idea that I had if we were able to get our hands on some. But if you have enough, or even if you had just a little bit, you can put it in like a little Christmas ornament.
Oh yeah,
as a constant reminder. So like if I can get my hands on something like that, that's what I would use it for.
Well, that's a good idea. Nice.
Yeah.
But like, has it sunk in for you yet? Like, does it feel real yet?
Yeah, I think I kind of just got back to normal like Thursday today-ish. I got a good night's sleep Wednesday night, and but prior to that, like Tuesday, Wednesday, even parts of yesterday, I was still kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like an unspoken thing where guys don't talk about their feelings, and like everybody had just this collective hangover, I guess, or emotional hangover or something like that. Like it was just like an out of body experience where it's just like you're on such an emotional high that you don't even know what's going on right now. What day is it? What is life? You know.
Yeah,
I,
for sure.
I asked a bunch of guys this, like that were fans. Like I actually talked to a guy that I hadn't seen all week since Monday morning. Um, I was running with him this morning, and I said, "Hey man, do you feel normal yet?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm
Uh,
still not sure. I'm still not sure it's real."
right, right. Yeah, man. I
Tuesday was a blur. Tuesday was just an absolute blur.
It was
Like,
for yeah, especially so. I'll tell you, like my dad and I slept in until like 10 o'clock. Like, we woke up, it was like, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock, and like we had to drive home, or we had to drive back to Charlotte, Concord, from Indianapolis. So we got a bit of a late start due to our sleeping in. Um, but I mean, it was cool though, just driving back. We listened to we listened to a bunch of like 680 The Fan, actually, like streaming. Um, we listened to 960 in the morning, and then switched over when they went to more non-local stuff and listened to 680, and just talked about the whole game, or talked about the game the whole way home. And it would just kind of be like, hey, remember when we won the national championship last night? That's pretty awesome. I can't. I still. I don't know. Like, I mean, I know it's real, but it's still. I don't know. Like, you start to question, like, is this ever going to happen? Um, and
I feel like for a lot of folks it was like that for a while. I feel like Friday, because I started noticing a little bit more um, chippiness from our fan base over the last several days. Like
mm,
everybody went from elation and tweeting out, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and like you had the reaction videos, and then you
yeah,
had people posting about all the pictures that they had a chance to like download and comb through and posting everything. And so like now we're at like acceptance. Like if you were like
mhm.
the stages of satisfaction or whatever, it's like, okay, this is real. And
Yeah.
now we're at like absolute talking time period.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like, yes, it's like, Tennessee fan opens their mouth and you're like, 1998.
Exactly.
Tech fan opens their mouth, 1990. Oh,
Exactly.
man.
If you thought we were obnoxious before, you have no idea what the next 365 days is going to be like, guys. Buckle up. It's going to be rough.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'll quickly run through uh, kind of like leading up to the game.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mentioned that my dad and I drove. So we drove up. We left. He drove up to Concord on Saturday. So actually, when I left you, I went home. Left car Saturday game, went home. My dad got there that night. We had dinner, went to bed, got up, and drove. So we stopped at Buffalo Trace on our way there. We drove up through Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Um, and then just kind of got in, had dinner, went out to a brewery with a food truck, had Omen number one. There was a lady at the food truck wearing a Georgia t-shirt. It's pretty awesome. Got a Go Dogs from her. She's from Savannah. And then we went and met up with Bobby Wilson at Kilroy's, and ran into an old friend of mine, and met a listener, actually, Gordon. So shout out Gordon. He was looking for you, John, but I told him you hadn't been able to make the trip. But we didn't stay out too late. It was super cold. But we were right down there by the stadium, so we kind of got to scope everything out. But then on
A little
Monday,
chilly.
yeah, on Monday when we went to lunch, this was the major omen for me. Was we had decided to go just to like a sports bar like right by our hotel, and we park, we're walking up, and the mailman drives up in the mail truck, and I like tapped my dad, and I was like, Dad, look, it's an omen, the mailman. And he was like, oh, this is so awesome. And like the mailman like gets out of the postal truck, and is like taking the mail to put it in the mail thing at the front of this bar. And we're just like smiling and looking at him, and he looks at us like, what? Like, it was hilarious. Like, and we talked about it later, we probably should have explained to him like why we were so happy to see him. We're like, We should have taken this picture or like taken our picture with him or something. It's like, no, but that would have been bad luck. So anyways, so then when we were eating lunch, the bartender was from Augusta. So like everything, was kind of lining up. But then, go to the game again, freezing. It was so cold outside. We had stopped by the Icon Source tailgate thing, and it was just too cold with the heaters. But did see the chairman Mao there. That was cool. But then, yeah, we just went into the stadium like 2 hours before the game because it was so cold.
That's crazy. Like, and you went in there completely stone cold sober, right?
Yeah, I think I had like, yes. I mean, I had a beer with my lunch, and then I had one beer at the Drew Butler thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I did not get like oiled up for this game. When we got in the stadium, we went and met up with John Tweets and talked for a little bit, and then we parted ways. And we like had hot dogs for dinner and had another beer, and like that was it. I got one more beer like to have like during the game, but that was it for me. So I definitely had my wits about me. Which now I'm happy. I'm glad I did. Because I remember everything. Like, it's very, very clear. So it's pretty awesome.
I did not have my wits about me throughout the game. However,
this is why I was having to talk you off the ledge the whole game.
Yeah, which is probably why I was texting things and you were like, "Wait, no, that we saw 3 tight end bunch. We've already seen that."
Yeah, you're like, "Where's been the 3 tight end set?" Yeah, it happened. It was on this one play. Okay.
Yeah. That's fun, man. It sounds like Indianapolis was kind of built for this whole kind of event, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like the layout. Had no issues getting in and out. Parking was great. We just parked. My dad had gotten a parking pass through the school had offered when we got the tickets through his account. Super close. Had no issues with that. It was just so cold, man. Like I was, we were like super bundled up but layered so we could kind of shed, when we got inside. Because that was the other thing that was kind of hard to deal with was the temperature change from being so cold outside to being like pleasant inside. So I was super hot when I got in, right? I had to like shed 2 layers. But yeah, everything was walkable. You go get in the city and park. If you weren't staying downtown, we were staying just south in Southport. We were like 15 minutes from the stadium. Once you got in, you could walk everywhere. It was just you had to brave the cold to do so. So, but they did handle it well. I'll tell you this: like leaving the stadium afterwards and getting out of there was way easier than leaving Mercedes-Benz. The last time we played these guys for national championship, it was a lot easier to get out of Indianapolis.
Probably because the game was over a lot earlier for one side. So
true. Good point. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I think I saw your video. I think it was your video of like the confetti and stuff, and I just remember thinking to myself like, "Oh man, look at that beautiful scene over there! Like an entire swath of the stadium is completely empty."
Yeah, they bailed. That was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome when you started to see them trickle out.
Yes.
Oh man. And sorry, I'm like I can feel my hoarseness coming back. So it's Friday, by the way, and I'm still hoarse. I screamed my head off in that game.
You're still recovering.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Hey, okay. We're national champions, man.
It's so amazing. It's so awesome.
2021 national champions, and we are sitting here about to talk through the actual game as opposed to all the pomp and circumstance. But we're champs. We're champs. Yeah. We did exactly. We bammed them.
Dude, we did something. We made history. No, a number 3 seed has never won the college football playoff. No team had ever lost their conference championship game and then won the college football playoff. So there's 2 things right there that have never happened. Georgia had never won 14 games in a season before. A lot of history was made on Monday night. It's pretty awesome.
But there was some probabilities that were definitely carried through. Like I think we talked about this on the preview episode. Was while the rematch is not super positive for the first losing party, But I think it was Seth Emerson. I can't remember who it was that tweeted out the metrics for in a rematch game, whoever was favored in the second game, regardless of what happened in the first game, always won. And Georgia was a 3.5 point favorite, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we were favored and we won, and that happens 70+% time of the time.
Well, and Alabama still has never they have not repeated, right? Every how about that? Like that held true as well, right? Every time they've won the college football playoff championship, they've made it back to the championship game the next year and lost every time. So,
well, here's to maybe out-Bama-ing Bama next year.
Love it. Cheers to that. Oh man. You want to talk? Let's talk about the game, man. So, and I don't know how you want to do it.
About the game. I don't know, man. I don't know what was better. I don't know what was better, the game itself or like just all the reactions. I'll jump off the rails one more time on this one, but
go for it.
Like all the reactions, all the reaction videos. We were talking about like has it hit you? Is it real or whatever? Like I definitely teared up after the game. Like I was a little caught up in the emotion of the moment because Carter was watching. He's watching with me as he kind of talks about. But immediately after the Ringo interception, like we were just so both emotional. And I told you guys that we were going to shoot off fireworks. And we had it all set up. I had it all set up because I didn't want to waste any time. I wanted it to be right on the money, and like just no setup time, no nothing. So I had it all set up beforehand, and we went out and shot off fireworks. And so like even in the midst of that, like listening to the fight song, like blasting fireworks, like it still hadn't really hit me. And I came back and the game was still on. So like and then after that, you're like. I wasn't there. Like I tried to immediately like FaceTime you, FaceTime my dad, FaceTime my brother-in-law, like try to talk to everybody. And then like Hunter and I were like trying to figure out, like we weren't hearing anything from anybody in the stadium, like if you guys were still alive. And so Hunter and I started FaceTiming, and then we FaceTimed with Graham and FaceTimed with you. Like
that was pretty awesome.
Everybody was just trying to celebrate in it. And so like I hadn't really processed really anything. And then I start seeing these reaction videos and stuff, and like, man, I started tearing up, dude. Like, the next day when I started seeing everybody's reactions and stuff, and started hearing all of the elation and just like what it meant for everybody, and realizing that I wasn't crazy in feeling how I felt, because I felt like that a lot of other people felt the same way. I just needed that visual confirmation that I'm not losing my mind. Like everybody else literally felt the same way. Nobody was talking about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, in the stadium, like it was absolutely bonkers. And I cried like I've said that I cried when we won the Rose Bowl, and I did, but that was more like shed a tear kind of cry. Dude, this was like I like broke down crying in the stadium. I'm about to start crying again. I said I was going to hug my dad when we won, if we won, and I did. Man, when Ringo was running that ball back, it was like an out of body experience.
Yeah,
like when he got the interception. When he picked it off, the initial. Like everyone let it out. And I gotta say, I know he follows us on Twitter. I don't know if he listens, but this guy, Mitchell Smeek, made that. There's like a 2-minute video, highlight video of the game. And he does this like right before Ringo's pick. It shows all the pain. And then it cuts back to it. And I mean, that was, dude, that was so perfect.
It really was.
That is exactly how it felt, because
that's exactly how it felt. Yeah.
The explosion of sound in the stadium when he picked it off, and then you're like, oh my God, he's going to score.
He's going to score, yeah.
Because so when he caught it, like everyone started hugging like immediately, and then you looked back, and he is crossing the 50, and are like, oh my God, he's going to score, and there was this like
He had a
Second,
convoy.
even higher level of explosion when he crossed the goal line. And I hugged everyone around me. Like it's one of those things where like everyone around you, in front of you, both sides behind you, like they're all your best friends during the game.
Just one giant group hug.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like it just let, I mean, for me, that was like 41 years of emotion coming out.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this multiple times. I know. I think we talked about it when we did when we were on Dog Sports Live the one time with Graham and Josh. But like, I've always felt like I thought, because I didn't know, but I felt like all that pain that we had gone through was just going to make it feel that much better when we finally got over that hump. And I can't imagine it any other way, man. It was just incredible. It was incredible. And when Ringo crossed the goal line, Munson lit a cigar. I know that much.
I know that. Yeah, for sure. I had I lit. I tried to get my brother-in-law to come. My brother-in-law was in the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
But he and I had some cigars, some Macanudo cigars, like the ones that are in like the fancy glass tubes or whatever from the SEC championship game that we did not get to smoke that night. Mm-hmm. So I had those left over, and so I smoked those last night for sure, or that night.
Yeah.
While I was calling, I think I had to put Hunter down. I was like, because Hunter was smoking a cigar when he called me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get mine out. Let's smoke it together.
Dude, that FaceTime was amazing. I looked at my phone and I saw that there was like a group FaceTime in progress, and I was like, what? I was like, I don't think I've ever done that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. That was fun. I'm glad you guys did that.
There was a little inside baseball. It was kind of like a Twitter Spaces for the text thread.
That was awesome. So I actually want to go back to, last in the preview, we had a long time, first time listener question from @Powell John T.
Yeah.
And so, you had asked what would be, although, okay, this group did not get together post game. I don't know where John and his brothers ended up. I know Graham went back to his hotel, so did my dad and I. But I'm going to tell you what I had so I already mentioned we had the Buffalo Trace. We had the special Buffalo Trace.
Excellent.
We had our dessert. We didn't have cake, but we had Nutter Butters. I got to tell you, man, Nutter Butters and Buffalo Trace are an amazing combination. Totally enhances the Buffalo Trace. So, or maybe it's
there's a reason.
general, but
I figure there's a reason why a lot of people like that peanut butter whiskey. What is it, Screwball or something like that? I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me, but I do like peanut butter and I do like bourbon, so I can imagine that it's pretty tasty.
It was excellent. I didn't have a cigar that night, but I did it. I redid everything again the next night when I got home. I had a Victor Sinclair cigar. I don't know. I got them. That's what I had. It was nothing crazy. I went like Munson style.
Yeah. You just grabbed what you could.
Actually, while we're on that, I wanted to hit a couple of revisit a couple of our listener questions for the preview. You cool with that? Because I wanted to see what we actually thought they were, the answers.
Let's revisit.
So, for example, Jason Huggins had asked, Georgia wins the national championship if blank. And I think a lot of what we talked about did happen. And I think, honestly, mine was, the team that we had seen 13 times shows up a 14th time. Right. And it did. So that was it for me. It is especially the defense. The defense won this game. The defense was lights out the entire game.
Listen, no disrespect to the defense, because clearly they did. And I know we're going to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty on all that on the actual review portion once we move beyond the we move beyond the awesomeness section.
Seriously.
But you can't have the national championship without Stetson Bennett to AD
No, you're right.
Mitchell.
You're right. Oh my gosh, so amazing.
You
Okay,
can't have the national championship without Stetson Bennett to Brock Bowers.
Yep.
You can't have the national championship without James Cook running for 67 yards, which frankly was one of the big momentum swings in this game.
Yeah.
You can't have it without the block punt, which technically isn't offense or defense, but we're still going to chalk it up to the defense, I think.
Block field goal. Block field goal.
Sorry, block field goal. Sorry.
I knew it.
I misspoke. Yeah, I misspoke.
You're good. No, you're right. You're totally right. It was a total team effort, right?
It was an absolute total team effort. But to your point, there definitely is no national championship without the defense allowing Alabama to get to the red zone. I can't even remember how many times it was. I think it was 4 times and had like 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, man. Like that was the whole thing was like, I mean, especially in the first half. Have you rewatched the whole game yet? Have you sat down and rewatched it? Okay. And so maybe, I don't know about you, but for me, while via text, I was super positive trying to calm you down. Personally, like with my dad and I talking in person, I was pretty upset with the offense in the first half. Like I think I was a little too harsh on the Georgia offense in the first half. In like watching it live, watching it back, I don't think I was giving enough credit to Alabama's defense. They were amazing. They played really well. And I think I was kind of discounting that a little bit.
So I think we were. I mean, to a certain extent, maybe. Like here's the thing that I look to is, I mean, I hate to say it, but like, you know, we made a personnel movement late in the first half that basically, like, for a large swath of the second half, erased a problem that we had on the offensive side. Like, I mean, Warren Erickson couldn't block anybody. Like, we were getting absolutely like Will Anderson and Dallas Turner were absolute monsters for us in the first half. And when we made that personnel move to bring in Broderick Jones, which granted it wasn't perfect, but you didn't really see the problems that they were creating after that.
Right. You know, Erickson also got hurt. I did not realize that live.
I thought we just pulled him.
Well, he went down at one point, but then he got up and he kept playing, and then he went out. So I wonder if it was related to that at all or not. I don't know. I actually still I still haven't really read a lot of articles or anything yet. I'm still just like watching videos and reaction stuff. And doing all that. I haven't done my deep dive yet. So this is, in true fashion, me being mainly off of all emotion. And
I don't care. We got a national championship. Screw everything else.
So amazing. But like if you look at game 1 versus game 2 with them, like all those long, the plays that were 85-yard touchdowns in the SEC championship game were, there was like a 60-yard gain in, I don't even remember now, third quarter, I think. But like they had long gains, but it was like, that was the most like bend but don't break to perfection I think I've ever seen. That was on the defensive side, to me, that was the difference, right? Like, for example, the one play when like their tight end kind of dragged and somebody missed a tackle, and that was the long, like 60-something yard play. But like Keely Ringo ran him down and tackled him, dude. Game 1, whoever it is, it's off to the races and they scored a touchdown. And this time we didn't let that happen. Like they buckled down. If they messed up, they made up for it, made the tackle, and then really clamped down in the red zone.
Golly, Keely Ringo. He was all over the place, man.
Yeah. And got to credit William Poole too, because I know like he had gotten his first start against these guys in the SEC championship game, and he got picked on. And he made some enormous plays in this game. several pass breakups. He had one in the fourth quarter. So after we went up by one on the pass to A.D. Mitchell, the ensuing possession, it was like a 3rd and 12, and Bryce Young, hit the receiver, and Poole got his hand in there and knocked it away. That was so many big plays in this game, and that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, the pass breakups. I mean, you go back and look at it. Like, you look at the game cast, and we like to talk about that. The game predictor, like the percent win probability, is like one of my favorite things to look at after every Georgia game this season. It's like a tradition like no other. So, like, I mean, it's pretty much a toss up until you get to, like, it's still 6-9. It's 6-9, and then hold on, it's like almost at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Like, it's basically a toss up for 3 quarters, which you make sense because of what the score line was.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's definitely swings towards Bama. There's a slight swing towards Georgia in the beginning, but like, you look at what happens in the fourth quarter, and that to me is where you go back to some of the press conferences that were going on, and you look at Jordan Davis speaking to the media saying, I've got to go run after this interview. And the entire defense collectively saying that they were out of condition. And they basically out of condition after the SEC championship game. And they basically had a month of training leading up to the Orange Bowl. And they had time after that, obviously a little bit, but they had a month's worth of training to get in shape. They played at the Orange Bowl. They played outside in Miami in the heat. So they had all that opportunity to get true, like, cardiovascular, like, training that frankly they probably don't have time for normally during the season. So having a full 3 weeks to get your lungs right, which you can absolutely do that if you have some baseline of activity, quickly you can get into fitness in that amount of time. So I think that really shows and showcases what the preparation was for this game, because they absolutely hornswoggled, to put it in the TikTok, in the TikTok guy, the depressed Cowboys fan, they hornswoggled them in the fourth quarter. And I think Nick Saban even admitted as much at midfield. He said, y'all kicked our ass in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's basically, a field goal kicking contest. Although, okay, I'll bring this up because I think we said we were going to. Another inside baseball. I texted you at one point in the game, and I said something along the lines of, I feel like we didn't talk about the refs being on Bama's side enough during the preview episode.
Oh God, we didn't spend enough time that we would have to beat the refs. I think we mentioned that we were going to have to beat the refs, but I don't think we realized just how much we were going to beat the refs. And let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah,
like first drive of the game was an absolute game-changing play.
Yes.
If that play stands, it's a completely different ballgame.
I think we might have blown them out if that fumble stands.
I don't disagree, but nonetheless, the fact that they ruled that not a fumble, and then they ruled the Stetson Bennett a fumble, like, that to me is just absolute bonkers. And I don't know, have you had a chance to listen to the Stetson fumble off of the Scott Howard radio call?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Because Eric Zier was absolutely irate. He said
pissed. I think he said it was like the worst call he'd ever seen.
He said that's the absolute worst call he's ever seen, and I can't agree with him more. Like, so that was an absolute, like, hose job. Like, I can't even imagine how anybody could think that was an actual fumble. based on
Yeah.
watching them call Bryce Young's pass an incomplete pass. And then not only that, but then they had the audacity to come out and say that even if it is an incomplete pass, we're going to rule it intentional grounding. Like, that to me is just bonkers.
So,
like, are you kidding me? Is that even allowed? Like, can we even do that?
yeah. And I don't know that they showed it. I know they said it. I'm not sure they showed it on TV. Like, Georgia fans started throwing stuff on the field when that happened. I was like, we're about to have a Tennessee moment here.
Well, Jim, were there any mustard bottles out there?
I didn't see. It was like water bottles. So apparently, there was water in the stadium. But like, I agree with you. Like, for sure that like it's my issue is the consistency or the lack of the inconsistency. If Bryce Young's was incomplete, then so was Stetson's. I feel like they were similar enough. Like, I don't think either of them, like, I don't know. Like, I have learned this season that it has to do something with if the ball is moving around in your hand before your hand goes forward, then therefore it's a fumble or whatever. And like, okay, sure. But I felt like it was doing that for Bryce Young too. So like,
yes,
it's the same. Also, how is Stetson's intentional grounding, but Bryce's wasn't? He threw it at his feet. Like, that was kind of ridiculous. Anyways, that was ridiculous because at the point when we're down 18-13, because they go down and score. I mean, they scored their only touchdown off of that turnover.
That was also the only touchdown that they got in the red zone. Like 3 out of 4 trips to the red zone were field goals for Bama, which is frankly the tail of the game. Like they punch in any of those, and there was a point where they showed Bill O'Brien like going absolutely like Kirby rage stroke because Bryce Young completely whiffed on the throw. You could say he completely whiffed, or was he just completely uncomposed in the moment because he had footsteps coming, wasn't really sure where the defender was. Like, and that actually is another tale of the tape, is that he was pressured nonstop throughout the game, which is totally different from the SEC championship game.
Look, the moment came to him, and it was like, look, moment's too big. I'm not really an athlete.
I come face to face with an actual athlete. I pissed down my leg.
Shout out, Coach. What is that? Coach 30 in there?
Coach 30. Yeah, Coach 30. I think his
check him on TikTok.
is different.
But like, yeah, man, and that again,
best video, by the way. Coach 30 had one of the best like weekly. Everybody watches out for these weekly videos. The SEC shorts, the Coach 30. Everybody watches for those. His was the best. SEC shorts was a huge miss.
The culmination with Hope leaving Georgia, I thought that was kind of lame. That was kind of a lame ending, right?
They lost me at Rambo.
Oh, seriously? Yeah, for real,
bro.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the SEC shorts, they called Ringo Rambo. What the heck? Come on. He's a Bama guy. The true colors are finally showing. He was too upset. Where was I? We're national champions.
Yeah, where were we? We're national champions. We were talking about the red zone.
Yeah, we're talking about Bryce Young, right? And like that was the thing we talked about, right? About in the first game, how many times did we get to him and he did some crazy move and got away and did his backyard football crap and it worked. And in this game, we put his ass in the ground. And like that makes all the difference. I mean, by the end of the game, you're right. He was hearing footsteps. And like there were so many times, like again, the first game, we'd get there, but he'd get away. We weren't even getting good hits on him. And the one time we did, he fumbled, right, in the SEC championship game. This game, there were times where, sure, we didn't get the sack, but the second he let the ball go, we crushed him. I mean, he spent a good portion of the night on his butt. And let's not forget, we saw in the post-game handshake, dude, Stetson Bennett is bigger than Bryce Young. I'm sorry. Like, everyone makes fun of Stetson and says he's this little guy. Bryce Young is smaller. I know he's more athletic, but like he's not a big guy. And you put him in the ground, and that makes a huge difference. And we saw it.
He's just as much a midget quarterback.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, man, defense was lights out. And then, the turning point to me, is the blocked field goal. And then we block the field goal, we get the ball, and in the stands, when we were lined up, I looked at my dad. I said, "Man, how about James Cook just takes one to the house right here?" And the man, he
Yeah.
almost did. So close. I called it. I called my shot, and it almost kind of sort of worked. It ended up with a touchdown though on that drive. And how about this, man? We got to see the jumbo package in the national championship
Yes.
game, and it got a
That
touchdown.
was awesome. That was awesome. It was
I gotta
almost,
say,
it was like, it was indefensible. I almost like want to go back and be like, man, why don't we just run that play? Like just run that play nonstop.
right. Talk about omens. How did we not see this coming when, we're 41 years since the national championship? I'm 41 years old. I stole that from John Tweets. John is also 41 years old. He made a big deal about that. But the last national championship, Herschel Walker, number 34. This year, our backfield was led by a number 3 and a number 4. Omens.
Omens.
Which I was super happy for both of those guys because they also made a big impact. Zeus was the leading rusher of the game. The guy came to play. When we got the ball back, we had one of those drives, right, to kind of shoot some time off the clock and score, and like that's what he's built for.
the manhood stealing drives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he left a mark. He left a mark on multiple occasions on some of those guys, man.
Yeah,
Like
he had a good game.
moving the pile. Like, yeah, man. Yards after contact. Yeah, man. You can't say enough positive about Zeus, who, as of today, basically said his goodbyes, and Cook also declaring.
Yeah.
So, next man up, next year, boys. We got a new stable of running backs coming.
That's right. Well, hey, I mean, McIntosh played great in this game as well. We didn't see Milton, but he's coming back from injury, so not a total shock. But we spread the ball around on offense like we've done all season. All these guys with like 1 or 2 catches. I think we need to talk about the AD Mitchell pass and catch more. What a throw!
Yeah.
What a catch!
So all right, let's talk about that. So let's set that up by saying that Stetson was just a couple of passes off from that 30 yard mark. So you can't really say significantly, but I mean, he passed for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 17 of 26. Yeah. That is literally the definition of balling out on the biggest stage against the biggest dynasty that the sporting has ever seen.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like after getting his ass handed to him for 2 games, right? He lost to them last year. He lost to them in the SEC championship this year. So this is his 3rd time playing them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he had so much to be afraid of for the quote unquote the moment's too big. He did not piss down his leg.
Right.
So here's the thing that just boggles my mind about that catch, and this is, in my opinion, if there's a new generation of Bulldogs that's donning the G, this moment is their Lindsey Scott.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
This moment is their Lindsey Scott. Had Larry Munson been around, and I know Scott Howard was a little under the weather, which I feel like we should probably talk a little bit about that too. But I think he was. I don't know if he was hepped up on meds, but the call probably could have been better. But whatever. The AD Mitchell pass was just an absolute moment that would have been made for Munson, basically.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at that replay, like I realized it was like a 40-something yard pass or something like that.
It was, it was 40. Yeah, I think it was 40 yards.
So if you go back and look at the replay, Stetson's, I think he's in the shotgun, but he lets go of that ball basically at the 50-yard line and throws it to the middle of the end zone in the air. Like, he throws 50 yards in the air to the back corner on the money, on a rope, on a dime. Like, literally the only guy that could catch it is his guy, and man, did AD catch it. And holy crap, I lost my shit, dude.
I did too. Like, I was just like, he got it. So also, that was the end zone that we were sitting in. So we were upper deck in that end zone, and we were kind of off to that side. Like, he caught it right in front of us. And I had a buddy of mine, Brian Shepard. So he's from Illinois. He went to Illinois, but he was like along for the ride with me, cheering for me. So he sent me like a video of his TV, of that catch to make sure I knew how amazing. And like, he's like, you're not going to believe how good of a catch this was. He sent me.
I couldn't believe it. As soon as the pass was complete, I jumped up and I said, "Oh, he's got to drop that. There's no way he's got that." Carter goes, "He caught it."
And last time
I was like, "Oh my god!"
Last time I checked, AD Mitchell was a freshman, right? So freshman receivers can catch touchdown passes. Just making sure we get that straight.
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
If you're upperclassman, sure star NFL talent is hurt, maybe not 100% for the game, and your senior wide receiver that is a total badass is also not 100%. There's other options that you could potentially throw the ball to. I don't know. There may be a team out there that could use some advice like that. I don't know.
Interesting.
But
I will say,
said, like, we mentioned it, but like that, his injury was a definite game changer.
It was, and like I will say too, it was like it was one of those. Like, I mean, it's a tough moment in the stadium, and I will say, like, kind of kudos to everyone there. Like, it was definitely like everyone, both sets of fans, everyone was just like, oh my gosh, and it was like dead silent when he went down. There was nothing like bad coming from the Georgia side, Everyone just kind of crowd hushed and then clapped as he walked off. But you knew. You could tell when they showed on the jumbotron and showed the replay. We knew what happened. So,
I mean, I could tell
him for a speedy recovery. He's got a bright future ahead of him still, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you can't act like it didn't impact the game. I mean, it did. But sorry, you were saying something. I kept rambling.
No. I mean, you could definitely tell. Like, I mean, as soon as he caught that ball and tried to cut and like went down and grabbed his knee, I told Carter, I said, "Oh my gosh, this game is totally different now." I said, "He's out." And
well, it was interesting because there was a point where Bama kind of flipped and started relying on Brian Robinson Jr. more, and there was like a drive where. My dad actually, I remember, like looked at me and was like, "Oh my gosh, he's like trying to take over this game." Robinson, he get Robinson. I can't remember. So, I think that drive ended in a field goal. Like they took him out. Like they didn't score a touchdown on that drive, but there was. I remember there's a particular drive. I think it was in the third quarter because they were coming towards us, and it felt like that. But then like they subbed him out, and then it kind of went back to how it was, and then they never went back to it again. So.
So you say that obviously Robinson was their lone back, which, I mean, if you were a high school running back looking at this game and looking at how Georgia leveraged their personnel and how Alabama managed their personnel, Robinson was literally the only running back they have. Like, obviously they have Trey Sanders. He got into the game at some point. Like, I mean, he had a couple of carries.
But he had 2 carries. Yeah.
But like, this is something that that Kendall Milton's dad likes to talk about, where you can go and be a featured running back and get your head bashed in for 20, 30 carries a game or whatever, and then you can go to another team where they utilize the personnel slightly differently. I mean, we had 30 carries, almost as many carries as Alabama had. We just spread it out amongst basically 3 running backs. I mean, Stetson had some carries too, but like it was basically 3 running backs that carried the bulk of the load.
Mm-hmm.
And Robinson averaged only 3.1 yards a carry. And the team, Alabama, only averaged 1.1 yards per carry. And as I recall in our preview, like that's kind of what I thought was going to happen, was that we were going to completely shut down the run and try to figure out ways to get pressure.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah. I mean, pretty much everything we wanted to happen did. Again, in the first half, like irrational fan, I was getting mad about the way, like what plays we were running on offense. But again, I think that was kind of heat of the moment. I was not giving Alabama's defense enough credit. So, let's see what else. The AD. So we had the touchdown pass to AD Mitchell, and then like I mentioned, then Bama goes 3 and out with the 3rd and 12 play. Pass breakup by William Poole was huge. And then we have that manhood robbing drive, ends with the Brock Bowers touchdown. Okay, so funny thing. Again, my dad and I were sitting high up on that play. I thought in the stadium, I remember I had my wits about me. I thought Stetson had handed the ball off to Cook. And because there was a play action to Cook, and the Bama defensive line actually like tackled Cook, like they hit him. And I was like, oh, he didn't get it. And then like in my peripheral vision, I see the ball come out of Stetson's hand. And I'm like, what just happened? I was so confused. And like Brock Bowers takes off and scores a touchdown. And again, the hugging with everyone and high-fiving ensued. That's pretty awesome. So at least in the stadium, that was a pretty good fake from where I was in section 628.
It sounded like a pretty good fake.
Oh man.
How about this? How about this for a series of series? So the second quarter ends. So it's the end of halftime, right? So coming out of halftime, it's 6-9 UGA, right? Well, Georgia starts things off. We have to punt. 5 plays, 32 yards punt.
Yeah.
2 plays, 3 yards. Alabama throws an interception, which frankly, like if we're being honest, like looking back on it, that was a big missed opportunity for our team to not put some points on the board after a turnover like that.
There's a lot of stuff that you could nitpick, but in the national championship game, it doesn't matter. Like in the middle of the season when you need style points for the committee and stuff.
Yeah.
You can nitpick. I'm totally with you. And these are things that I was like pissed about during the game. But now I don't care, but like, yes, absolutely. Totally missed.
But here's the thing. And this kind of harkens back to Huggins, kind of like if this happens. Yeah. And you and I talked about this as we had to keep Alabama under 30. So it's already halftime, 6-9. Like at that point, like I was elated. I had walked back off the ledge. It's like, literally nothing went right, and we're only down 3 points, and it's 6-9.
Now let's be clear that what you just said, you basically just repeated my text message to you that got you off the ledge.
Yes. Yes.
Continue.
I tried to keep it in context, and I tried to keep myself like mentally prepared that like even though I hated literally everything that was going on, we were only down 3 points, and Alabama, more importantly, had no time on the ball. They were not bossing the clock, and they only had 9 points to show for their efforts. But anyway, coming out of halftime, punt, intercept, Georgia punt, Alabama interception, Georgia punt, Alabama missed field goal. At this point, there is almost an entire quarter of just like around that happens. So we get to the fourth quarter and it's 6-9, and then all of a sudden the wheels start falling off for Alabama. Like just everything just falls off, right?
Well, we scored like right before the end because we had the lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So
So fourth quarter and then a little change, right?
Yeah, so it was a missed field goal happens with 3:18 left in the third quarter. The touchdown happens with 1 minute and 58 seconds left in the. I mean, effectively, whatever.
Yeah, and then we have we scored 20 in the fourth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outscored. How? I mean, think of how like the way this went is like the antithesis of what's happened in the other games when we've lost to these guys before, where they just I got SEC championship was different. But I'm mainly like, 17 and 18, right? Where like Bama just took the game over in the second half, took the game over the fourth quarter, and it fell apart. I mean, this was the opposite. I mean,
Let me take you
right.
Let me take you to where I was at 12:59 left in. Or sorry, 11:35 left in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's 13-12. Stetson Bennett gets sacked by Christian Harris and has what you and I have referred to as the Stetson moment that happens in every single game. He has one moment, at least one time in the game, which, whatever. Like if you were to go back, and 9 times out of 10, he probably takes the sack there or figures out how to get the ball out of his hand some way, shape, or form. But 9 times out of 10, there's no way that's a fumble, right?
Yeah.
It just so happened that in the national championship game against Alabama with these refs, damn refs.
Well, and the fact that the dude like nonchalantly catches the ball, like
totally.
It was so lucky.
Yeah, like if he's not there, doesn't finish the play, like it's forgotten for time, right? Matter of fact, I think that if they technically rule it a fumble, like we get the ball at that point, right? Like,
yeah,
it would have been a positive game for us.
I can't remember where it landed. It was close to the line of scrimmage. It made a bit. Yeah, it might have been like a. Oh, that's a good.
Anyway,
yeah, but yeah.
Anyway, I take myself back to all those years, the 2012 years, the 2018, 2017, like, whatever, like all the times that we lost to these guys. As soon as that happened was when I probably was munsoning the hardest I've ever munsoned in my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't at that point. I had put the phone down. And I don't remember. I could go back and look and confirm with you, but I don't think I was texting at that point. I was literally in a glass case of emotions of just, oh my God, we're going to piss this away, aren't we? We're literally going to give this away on a Stetson mistake. He didn't even throw an interception. It was a fake fumble. Like I was completely distraught. And of course they go back and they score the touchdown. And then we just immediately answer in emphatic fashion and basically erase everything.
Yeah. And Stetson has said the fact that he has come out and said that his mindset was, I'm not going to be the reason that we lose this game. Dude, the guy is such a legend. The mailman. Mailman delivered. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's nothing else to say. Like we had the Burton. The only other thing to really dissect is, maybe you could take a look at the blocked field goal. You could dissect the, the Ringo interception. Obviously, everything in between was just our lights out defense, dude. Like, I mean, when Young got sacked, like for a huge loss on, I think it was third down. Like they had the ball inside the 20. It was a red zone, and then like Bryce just boots out, and we tackled him for a huge loss. I was like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, did he really just take a sack? Mr. Heisman himself did not figure out a way to get the ball out away. He was outside the pocket. All he had to do was clock it through the back of the end zone. And he decides to take a huge sack from Trayvon Walker. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. I don't know. what to say about it. I mean, and it was like so many guys, like everyone played so well on the defense. I mean, like we haven't even really mentioned Sane, and he was a defensive player of the game. I mean, he was laying folks out.
He was. It reminded me of Greg Blue.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And then, dude, like, how about the last? Well, okay, you were shooting off while you were shooting off fireworks. So, okay, hold on. Two things. First off, when Ringo gets the interception, and Scott Howard is like, so like after he scores, Scott and Eric Zier are talking, and then Scott Howard drops this.
Ringo ate your baby.
Go home, Scott. You're drunk.
So here's a little bit longer piece of it.
Ringo's second pick of the year, 79 yards officially on the pick six in Alabama. Ringo ate your baby.
I can't believe he pulled that out. So shout out to anybody who watched Seinfeld. Now I've told
or anybody that like was like listened to that news stuff back in the day.
Right. Yeah, that's what the Seinfeld thing was reference to that for sure.
Yes.
So that happens. Okay, so we get that. So but then the next drive, right? So then you go and you're shooting off fireworks, right? And then like
I was shooting off fireworks when he was at the 5-yard line, I feel like.
Right. Okay. So you're shooting off fireworks. And then like the next drive, it's like, we're in like, so first off, Georgia was in like major like prevent defense. Like everyone was like 30 yards off the line. It was like super prevent. And so then like, they get a couple of first downs and Kirby, I guess, gets pissed or whatever. And so then we just switch back to their regular defense. And
defense.
That's when the sacks start coming. So first, I think we finally get the intentional grounding, which I feel like only happened because Kirby went ape in the refs.
Yeah, he did. I saw that. I was like, dude, he like sold that.
He totally got the call up. Which, I mean, he was right.
Yeah, he was totally right.
Because there was another one that they called on Stetson that I feel like Pickens broke off his route and they called intentional grounding on Stetson. And it's like he wasn't even in duress. Miscommunication. Anyways, but then we get the sack from
Robert Beal.
And dude, I swear, and I talked about this with Logan today, that like Scott Howard said his name like that when he got the sack.
Robert Beal.
He totally said it like that. It was awesome.
It was a moment. It was a moment made for second string lore, like so Robert perfect. Beal sack.
It was so perfect. And then like. Then we reduced, Saban to like Kentucky because he's like calling timeouts, trying to extend the game, and then the perfection was the sack on the fourth. It was like what I don't even remember what it was. 4th and 10, I guess maybe 4th and 15 something. Last play of the game ended on a sack. Perfect ending to a season. With arguably the greatest defense of all time. And how about that the season was bookended with pick sixes? The first touchdown of the season was a pick six by Chris Smith against Clemson. The last touchdown of the season was a pick six by Ringo against Bama. I mean, you can't get any better than that. You can't get any better than that.
It's the bookends of the season. The defense started it, and the defense freaking ended it.
Oh, man.
In the defense, we trust, Jim. In the defense, we trust.
I know. Like, we said that all last season. I think we should have said it more this season.
I mean, but it would have been totally unfair to Stetson to truly say
I
that
agree.
because
okay, so here, I got to give you credit. So let's rewind.
Please give me credit. I'll take all the credit I can get, Jim.
When we did our season preview, I asked you this question. I said, I said last year our mantra was in the defense we trust. What is our mantra this year? Do you remember what you said to me?
In Kirby we trust.
You said in Kirby we trust. And how prophetic was that because if everyone would have just trusted Kirby
Yeah,
with his
dude.
quarterback, all the questioning, why don't you pick the right quarterback, all this stuff, we're going to play the guy that gives us the best chance to win. Georgia can't get over the hump, can't be Bama with Stetson. Well, look what happened. What a moment, man! I'm so happy for Stetson.
I'm so happy for Stetson. It's what we wanted. It's what we hoped for. Like as far as like the whole storyline, but like not only was it a story, it was. I mean, he balled out.
Yeah, man.
I think John tweeted out some of those metrics for Stetson on the season, like 66% completion rate, 20 something touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the season, almost 3,000 yards passing.
Yeah.
And then the coup de grace was his postseason performance was like, 500 something yards, 66% passing, 5 touchdowns, 0. This is where you enter the Kirby gif. 0.
Yes.
0 interceptions, which we said if Stetson didn't throw an interception in this game, we're probably going to win it.
Yeah. We said we could overcome turnovers. We just needed to win the turnover battle, and
That's
that
true.
we did.
And we did.
It's at worst we had it 2-1. You could argue it was 3-1 if you consider the blocked field goal a turnover, because I mean that took points away.
Correct.
And led to a touchdown. We scored our first touchdown, and that really energized the team. I mean, we've been good at those field goal blocks ever since Kirby got here. I mean, had one in the Rose Bowl, had this one here.
Mm-hmm. We had 4 block kicks. I think was the quote in the game was that we were good at blocking kicks. I was like, are we?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we are.
Right. Apparently we are.
I mean, I figure if you're playing a game like that with a defensive line or a front, I mean, a special teams front like that, like the more times you kick a field goal, the more opportunity it's going to give those, stud athletes a chance to break through. And, they broke through. I was like, dude, if they keep kicking field goals, we're going to block one of these. I know we are. I told Carter that I was like, we're going to block one of these at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Right, for sure.
Another person that we haven't talked a whole lot about that I felt like was a huge impact in the game, obviously because he caused the fumble on Stetson, was Christian Harris, dude.
Yeah,
that kid on their side of the ball, guy had 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Like, are you kidding me, dude? In the national championship, he wasn't even really truly on my radar.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him in the preview for sure. I'm telling you, man, their defense definitely stepped up. I think. I feel like for would in the first half and maybe even the first 3 quarters, like I would say, I feel like their defense played better than the SEC championship game. Would you agree with that? I feel like their defense was better. We just capitalized in that, in the second half.
I mean, we didn't throw interceptions, and we also won the coin toss.
Dude, so true, dude. I
was so happy. I was so happy we won the coin toss. I you not, Jim. Like my wife and my daughter and Carter and I actually think my 7-year-old was still down here too. So like we let my 7-year-old stay up for a little bit. Of course, she passed out like 5 minutes after the kickoff or whatever. But we won the coin toss. You think we had a turnover? I was like, yes, we won the coin toss. Like,
dude, the crowd went wild in the stadium when we won the coin toss. It definitely, again, yet another omen.
Another omen.
But then, I mean, it was like you win the coin toss, and then like 4 plays into the game, you think we have the fumble recovery for a touchdown. That's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. Some other things to maybe point at and talk about, that we hit on in the preview show. Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was absolutely abused in this game, dude.
Well, he started tackling our receivers because he couldn't cover them. How about I don't know that I've ever seen pass interference so egregious. Which I mean, it was the smart play once it got to that point, right? Because a 15-yard penalty is better than a touchdown, but it happened multiple times.
Yeah, dude. They interfered. They interfered with Pickens that one time, which extended a drive. They interfered with Kieris.
They tackled Burton. Totally tackled.
And they straight up tackled Burton, which I actually felt bad. I was like, dude, he juked that kid out of his shorts. Holy cow. The guy was gone. And I would have loved to have seen Stetson drop another bomb on these jokers.
Well, the funny thing is that was actually 2 plays before the AD Mitchell pass. So,
well, yeah,
in a way, we need to thank Kool-Aid because we wouldn't have Stetson to AD, although we would have had Stetson to Burton. But Burton would have been wide open. It wouldn't have been as dramatic.
He would have walked into the end zone.
Yeah, yeah. I've also got to give a shout out to John Michael D because he tweeted the tweets were not flowing from the podcast account during this game because I was I was so into the moment and I was texting you a lot. Yes, but
sorry, Twitter followers. We had to text them on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Right. But John Michael D did tag us at halftime and said, "Can't blow a halftime lead to Saban if you're down 3 at the break." I thought that was good.
I like how you think. I like how you think, sir.
That was money. Oh, I feel I guess I keep feeling like what else do we need to talk about? But I think the beauty of this is we can talk about this as many times as we want.
I think I'd like to just link up with some folks, link up with some of the guys from the other podcasts and talk about this game. What did it feel like? So
we should try one of these fancy Twitter spaces. Maybe we could do that. One of these newfangled things. I also, dude, I went back. I got to give Coach Drill Bill a shout out. Some of his over unders were incredible. So his Georgia passing yards over under was 225, and Stetson had 224 passing.
Holy cow!
That's pretty amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
And then his Georgia rushing touchdowns over under was 1.5, and we had 1, and his passing touchdowns over under was 2.5, and we had 2. So those were pretty incredible. They were all good. But
is Coach a degenerate gambler? I don't know.
Coach, you gotta let us know. He reached out to me because we dropped. I switched it up into the SEC on CBS Music. When we did his over under his last one, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like, "That's my favorite song."
Yeah, I love that song too. I added it to some of the workout playlists that I mentioned that we dropped it on with the UGA fight song and the SEC music.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I don't know that I have anything else immediately. I know. So I think we've already said this is Friday. This may be our first ever Friday night we've ever recorded. So if you're listening to this, it's probably I don't know when this will come out. Maybe it'll come out Saturday. Hopefully it's out and folks could have listened to it on their way to the parade. But I don't know. We'll see if I'm able to get it out.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
get it out that soon. So hopefully you're on your way to the parade when you're listening to this, and you're about to go in there and hear Stetson pull a Wolf of Wall Street and say, "I'm not leaving" on the podium. That's kind of what I'm hoping happens. We'll see.
I'm not leaving.
we'll see what happens. Man, we're national champions. Man, this is fun. I didn't know it would ever happen. I didn't know if it would ever happen. I was starting to wonder and think. And you think about what's it going to be like. And I told you when we FaceTime when I was in the stadium, I don't know if you could hear me, but I was like, it's even better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, dude. At this point, we're at the stage now where we're talking about transfer portals and guys going pro, and
Yeah.
obviously there's some concerns with who's coming and going and all these different things. But I mean, at the end of the day, we won the national championship, and if we don't win it next year, well, we'll have the same streak as Alabama.
That's right. That's right. And at this point, I feel like we all need to learn our lesson, and maybe the coaches know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean that really cannot be overstated enough. Is that there's been so much like mental gymnastics from our fan base trying to figure out like why we're doing certain things, and it's like, dude, Kirby Smart gets paid a lot of money to win football games for this university. This university has invested a lot of money, a substantial amount of money, into getting him the resources to win those games. And for us to sit back and like look at this from the outside looking in and just be like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, I know better than you, Mr. Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like they know what's going on in practice. They know the feel of the team. They know the pulse of the team. And anybody that questions like this, all you have to do is just watch the post-game celebrations and watch every single one of those players. I counted at least 3 or 4 coaches outside of Kirby Smart that came up to Stetson and were just like,
oh yeah,
just getting in his face. And like, I posted a video that the university posted out there today. It said, "Don't ever let anybody doubt you again."
You know who that guy is that was saying that?
I was wondering because I recognized him because I've seen him in some of the other videos and stuff. So who is he?
That's Coach Gant. You know what? I'm blanking. His first, I can't remember if his first name is Brian or Bryant. I can't remember if there's a T on the end of his first name or not. But so he's been around since the Richt era. Okay, I think it's Bryant. Yeah, Bryant Gant is his name. Yeah, he's been around since Richt. He's like director of player support and operations or something. But my dad knows him a little bit. Actually, he's met him. But
maybe we should get him. Maybe we should get him on and talk to him about how he's motivating these boys.
Yeah, because he's had some moments like that in the past. So actually, the other thing with him to me that stands out is the last time we beat these guys. Actually, I don't know if you remember this. So in 2007, that game ended with the one and done baby Stafford and Mikey Henderson in overtime. That's what everyone remembers, right? Well, I think it was the last play of regulation. Brandon Coutu attempted a game-winning field goal and he missed it. And he's kind of over on the sidelines, like head down. And Coach Gant walked over to him and like tapped him on his chin. Like had like chin up, keep your chin up, keep your head up, and kind of got on to him a little bit, like don't get down on yourself. So yeah, he's been around for a while. That was a cool moment for sure. That was pretty awesome. All right, man. Well, it's been fun to relive it, and I get the feeling we'll relive it again. I know last year we did a season review after our last game review, and we'll certainly do that again as well. And heck, who knows? Maybe we may just keep having episodes and just keep talking about this because it's fun. I was kind of wondering like how this would go. Like I was kind of thinking it might be like an hour of us just like giggling with joy, just being like just like nonstop, like not be able to stop it. It's incredible, man. It's incredible. I've got my national champs gear ordered, waiting on it to come in the mail. I'm excited. I've held my head high a couple of times I've been out of the house this week. I'm a bit of a homebody. I work from home, but yeah, I went to the grocery store yesterday, wore my jacket and my hat, and then went to Walmart today. Today, when I went to Walmart, I went Georgia and with a Braves hat, and I kind of flaunted the double champion. Felt good.
You gave him the double champs. The double champs. Did anybody say anything to you? Did you walk in with an unlit cigar?
No, actually, so I did have somebody come up to me at Harris Teeter yesterday when I was wearing all Georgia stuff. Another Georgia fan was like, "Hey, he's like, how awesome was that, man?" Which is not the norm in Concord, North Carolina. Like it doesn't happen all the time. So it's pretty good. I was like, I was there. He was like, no way. It was pretty awesome. So
I feel like that's a unique experience for someone that's like a fan of UGA and like, I don't know, if you're like a Georgia fan in Alabama, like that's got to feel amazing to just walk around town being like, what's up, boys?
yeah, for sure.
You walk into Dreamland Barbecue and you're like, hey guys, how y'all doing?
Awesome. All right, man. Well, congrats on being a champion. Feels good.
Congrats to you on being a champion, sir.
Feels so good. This is awesome. Long time coming. 41 years. The second national championship of my life, but I don't remember the first one, obviously.
Right. Well,
I was 10 months old.
We talked about the correlation between Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, right? Like that's like the comparison. At this point, the comparisons to Rick are null and void, right? Like the comparisons to Rick are dead, right? Yeah. So now it's like the comparison to Kirby and Saban, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Kirby's literally like one play away from having 2 national championships, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yep.
That's something that we really need to take into context on what we have going on here and the type of football mind that is calling these shots that people are so upset about. And it's like, listen, Chief, like there's a reason that we don't have some of these guys starting. And maybe, just maybe, these guys know what they're talking about. And so maybe, just maybe, we should just chill the F out for, a year or 2.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Whew. In Kirby we trust, right?
In Kirby we trust. That is the mantra moving forward, and that is the text thread that began this whole thing.
That's right. We may have to print some T-shirts with that.
I mean, I think it's a fantastic gift, Jim. Like
it is. I don't know. It is a good one.
This is fun, man. It's good to be. It's good to be on the other side of this thing.
Yep, for sure. Feels good. Feels good.
I think we're gonna have maybe some more episodes coming up that we've have some ideas for. So yeah, just stay tuned and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
A Ringo ate your baby.
National champions. Yes.
So Carter, how does it feel to be a double champion? You got Braves and Dogs, both champions of their sport at the same time.
Feels good. I mean, it feels good to rub it in my friend's face since he's an Alabama fan.
Obviously.
And it started getting so serious at school that people started making bets before the game started. And someone made a bet on Georgia, and if Georgia won, this other dude would have to buy a Georgia jersey, specifically a Herschel Walker jersey,
nice.
wear it to school, give her $5, and at recess he has to yell, "Georgia's the best team."
Sounds like a legit bet.
It's a legit bet. They're gambling at 4th grade at Due West.
So Carter, remind me how old you are.
10.
All right, so you're 10. So think about this. In 10 years, you've seen your teams accomplish what it took me 41 years to see happen. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
You had Atlanta United championship, you had a Braves championship, and you had a Georgia Bulldogs championship all in the 10 years.
Come on, Hawks.
He's hungry. He wants more. I like it, Carter. I like that attitude.
You could have had Falcons too.
Oh, yeah, that's never going to happen.
So, I mean, what was obviously the coolest part of the game was when you got to FaceTime with me after, right?
Yeah.
I could barely even hear you, and I was so
I'm sure.
tired.
I'm sure. I couldn't hear you
It
guys.
was like
It was tough.
12:40.
Yeah, it was late. It was late. Were you confident the whole game, or like, how did you feel? It's pretty back
By
and forth.
by the end of halftime, I was kind of feeling scared because it was basically a field goal game until Stetson Bennett had that long pass to
Pickens.
Pickens,
Yeah.
and then I kind of had more faith going on.
Yeah. He was my own internal like calm down John internal in house. I had Jim telling me to calm down via GIF on text messages.
Yes.
Carter every like for the first like quarter I was like, oh come on, you know, I was doing my typical dad like Munsoning John situation, and he was like, he would turn to me and be like, calm down.
Calm down. It's only the first quarter.
Amazing. So did you walk into school with your head a little bit higher? You went back to school?
When you went back to school, did you go back to school the next day?
No, I didn't.
That's okay. That's understandable. I didn't go back to work the next day, although I had to drive through like many states.
We had to drive like 7 hours.
Yeah, it was longer, especially when you stop at Buffalo Trace. But anyway.
So Carter, tell Mr. Jim what you thought about the Keely Ringo interception. That was like the penultimate point of the game. I think that everybody's been looking at, right?
I mean, at that point, I was like, let's be the first ones to light fireworks off when Georgia wins. When he intercepted it, I didn't even wait for him to go to the end zone. I was just like, let's go outside, Dad. Let's light off some fireworks.
All right, Carter, before bedtime, what else you got for us?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.